And away we go. It is the nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off your order. Aaron, do you think if they do change to Narcos, that the way you get your 15% at Galactic is you have to play the trumpet?
You have to play Pump It Up on the trumpet.
I like it. Or Narcos.
As long as it's not one of those plastic recorders. Why are those still made?
It's a good question. I got a little gnat circling my head right now.
I feel like there's a joke there, but I'll leave it alone.
It's my one brain cell. Just it's my one remaining brain cell having an out-of-body experience. I'm toast, man. I told you before the show. I came home tonight. We had the press conference. We had practice. I went and did a thing with Mo at the Moorline Lager House for an hour. I was on a UCF show. I came home. I plugged my phone in. I walked away from where I plugged my phone in, reached for my phone, couldn't find my phone that I had just plugged in 8 seconds ago behind me. I went out to the car to look for the phone, couldn't find it. Took me like 90 seconds to realize you plugged it in inside, you dumbass. I need week 1 to get here. Well, like I need the game to get here so my life can slow down. I need the game to get here so my life can slow down a little bit.
Well, we got one step closer today as uniforms were announced. Chad, uniforms were announced.
My favorite road combo: black helmets, white tops, black bottoms. I love it. I love it even more. They're not doing it this time. I love it even more with the white face masks. I love the white face masks on the black helmets.
I love,
especially on the road.
I loved the video, the TikTok with Josh Wiley falling, somersaulting, whatever that was, over and
over.
Well,
I mean, he fell backwards and then they reversed it and fell. It's Shark doing her magic.
And it's certainly not up there in my Hall of Fame for uniform reveals, but it
was solid.
It's the beginning.
It's good week 1.
Yeah, you're just working your way into it. I get it. I don't expect the awesome stuff to start dropping until it's like mid-season when everybody's in rare form and
but it was a really good, I don't say basic, but like they were in the new locker room. They had the new lockers incorporated. I need to know if is there really a bed just next to Dante Corleone's locker?
I feel like going back to the conversation we had with Mo last night, does this mean Josh Wiley is the starting quarterback?
He might be.
Who knows?
He might be. The other big thing today, newsy type deal, captains were named today. You got Wilson Huber, Jabari Taylor, Josh Wiley, Dylan O'Quinn, and Trey Tucker.
The only surprise there for me was Dylan O'Quinn, and I only say that because he has not been featured prevalently in any of the Let It Fly videos.
He's not Dylan is one of those man of few words type deals. He doesn't talk a whole lot. He's really good, if you get to know him. But you put Dylan on camera, he ain't giving you much of anything. So
he leads by example.
Yes, very much so. But he's very much the leader of that offensive line room and certainly one of the leaders of the offense. He is. We heard that night scrimmage or the night practice, one of the first practices they had with pads at Higher Ground. The defensive line dominated most of that night, and Dylan O'Quinn pulled that offensive line room aside and let them have it after the practice was over. And the offensive line was, for the most part, much improved throughout the rest of camp. So he's one of those locker room leaders. The guys look to him. He's not going to be doing a lot of Let It Fly. He's not going to be starring in many videos, but when it comes to the actual leadership stuff, Dylan O'Quinn is right at the top of the list. We talked to Jabari and Josh after practice today. Those videos are uploading. I did get the Jaquan Shepherd video up, and Jaquan kind of talking about being named cornerback 1. He's the starter at the boundary for week 1. It's the first time I think we've talked to Jaquan because he's always been behind Sauce. They both, I think people forget, like, they came in together. They were classmates, and that's a guy that kind of had to live in his classmate's shadow for 3 years.
The whole time.
Yeah, it's a big shadow. It's a big shadow. He had. I thought he was really good. I thought he had some good insight on like what this means to him and how much work he put in. Because look, if you go back to those first like 4 or 5 days of camp, it was like everything was pointing to JQ Hardaway is going to win this job. And then I thought Jaquan over the last 10 days or so at camp really turned it on and held off, the newbie, held off the freshman.
You'd much rather have it be that it goes in that scenario than to go like 10 days awesome, and then the last 5 days you drop off a little bit, and then you're stuck wondering which decision do we go with here, as opposed to the guy who's trending up.
And he got into some stuff that was really interesting about, like, he had a period in time where he was ready to hit the portal because it just, well, look, man, I don't know what to tell you, but your Sauce is backup. You ain't playing, dude. Like, but he talked about how his teammates lifted him up and gave him that confidence of, look, you're going to get your turn. It's going to be your time. Believe in the process. And I think at one point he even said, like, I asked myself, where am I going to go that it's going to be better than here? And the answer was nowhere. The culture that like, look around college sports. Guys like Jaquan Shepherd are transferring out of places after their freshman year, 10 days into their freshman year, some might say. After their sophomore year, certainly. Like, you're not on the field after 2 years in college football anymore. I'm out the door. So it was a really good conversation with him talking about why he's still here and how he waited for his turn and how he earned his opportunity. He talked a lot about his responsibility to help JQ, which I think in a situation like that is super important, right?
It's really hard to even put yourself in that mentality, especially when you've been fighting for this spot the whole time you've been here. And now you like,
got it.
I guess I kind of got to help this kid too, who just got here, and be the leader. But I think that may separate you as a guy who,
yeah. And he said the one thing that I thought was interesting there is he said that it was something him and Sauce didn't necessarily have at that spot when they both got here.
Somebody to look up to?
They had Kobe, but Kobe was more of the field guy. They were trying him at the boundary at that point in time, but he clearly like was better suited on the other side. Yeah. But they talked about he talked about like not having him and Sauce didn't have that. They kind of had to build themselves up once they became, especially into his redshirt freshman year, once those were the 1 and 2 over at the boundary. So I thought it was a really good interview from Jaquan for the first time that we've really gotten to speak to him. I thought Josh had a couple interesting things to say in his interview today, talking about how he felt like maybe last year for him was a little bit of a missed opportunity because he didn't step into that leadership role like maybe he should have and wasn't as vocal as he should have been and was kind of maybe riding on Dez's coattails, and all of the leadership they had.
The rare self-reflection talk from Josh Wiley.
Nah, Josh is a pretty self-reflective dude if you ask him the right questions. If not, he's going to talk about farts because it's
snoring,
farting, But I thought we had a good talk with Josh. We had a good talk with Jabari about what being named a captain meant to him as somebody that's been here, came in his first year, was Luke Fickell's first year, and has been here for the whole ride. So those were really good. 3 really good player interviews today that you can find in the process of uploading now on the YouTube channel. So But that was good stuff too.
Yeah, and then there was a presser today.
Yes.
With the big guy, Luke Fickell, as it was his only presser he'll give before going to Fayetteville.
Correct. I mean, he told us in the BCJ camp preview interview he was not going to tell us who the starting quarterback was.
True to his word.
Until the season started. True to his word, he did not tell us today who the starting quarterback was. And so I asked Mo this today on the radio, Aaron. So I'm going to ask you now. Did I ask you this yesterday? Who's it most likely that we're going to hear who the starting quarterback from? We have two options. Pete Thamel, the morning of the game, like 10 o'clock. Pete Thamel drops in with Ben Bryant, has been named the starting quarterback against Arkansas for Luke Fickell. Or Dan Horde at 3:05, just ahead of like once the pregame show starts in advance of the game. Which one do you think we're going to hear? Because it's one of the two.
I think this is a no-brainer. I think you'll see speculation coming from Pete Thamel, and I think that you'll see rumor has it or something along those lines will be the tweets that are going around.
It's going to be sources tell ESPN that Ben Bryant is the starter.
But it will be actually officially announced by Dan Horde.
Well, okay. That's kind of if Pete Thamel tweets it out, it's officially announced. Let's be honest with each other.
I don't know. I mean, I think you can say sources close to the organization say, but I don't think any coach is going to say, like, go ahead. Like any coaches that Pete may have a relationship with outside of Luke, I don't think Luke's putting it out there.
Well, if Pete puts it out there, it's going to be with Luke's blessing.
Well, then no. I don't think. I think that you may see there still hasn't been a starter announced, or there is speculation, but I don't know. I don't think I don't think it's Pete's news to break. If I'm being honest, I think this is Dan's news to break.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
I don't think you need to put it out there any earlier than it needs to be.
Okay, but that's not. Again, that's not. It
is if Luke doesn't want it out there
by default. Guess who has broken most of the really big Cincinnati information over the past 6 years?
I understand. I just don't see.
Who do you think you got it from?
I don't see why you need to put that out 5 hours early if you're going to wait until
you're helping out your boy who is now the number one college football reporter in the land, getting ready to or in the middle of game day, like you throw Pete that bone, like it makes Pete look good.
I just don't know what it does for you if you waited all that time to put it out there.
Well, they can't practice at that point. Like, are they going to? Arkansas is going to have an emergency practice at noon on a 3:30 kickoff to prepare
you know what to throw out going into.
They're going to look over there and see who's taking the first team reps that day. Well, Luke told us today we have picked a starting quarterback. I'm just not telling you who it is.
I don't know.
So your bet is on Dan Horde announcing it at 3:05.
Yes.
My bet is it'll come from Pete some point earlier in the day.
Well, agree to disagree.
That's fine. You do that a lot.
That's how I would have done it, is exactly as I said.
Okay.
Give it to Dan. It's not Pete's news to break. Get out of here. You've made it to the top. You don't need any more. You're doing just fine, Pete.
I mean, he's been on our podcast from the top of the mountain. He's done radio. Like, that's a humble dude. We don't need your anger for Pete Thamel, Aaron Smith. He's a friend of the program. We don't need your anger, sir.
It's so funny the way that you say program.
I don't say it like that.
Program.
Friend of the program. To me, it makes me laugh, so I say it like that.
It is funny. No, it's nothing against Pete. It's just
It's not his news to break.
That's not
angry.
I'm not. I don't know why he needs to have it for College Game Day. That's in Columbus, by the way.
That's his job.
That's in Columbus. Like, way to sell out again, ESPN. We went to Columbus even though the Big Ten wants nothing to do with us. ESPN sucks. Now I'm mad. You did it. You did it. What are you going to Columbus for? Get out of here. You don't even broadcast.
It's the biggest game of the weekend.
You don't broadcast their games anymore.
Yes, they do. Until 2025, they do.
Well, fine. I still would be jaded. I should not run a company.
You would be jaded?
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Anything else?
I
did get my best. I got week 1. I got a good joke in. I asked Luke Fickell about the running back room and stated that they have more oars on the 2 deep. They've got enough oars on the 2 deep to row a boat. He did not. I don't think that amused him as much as it amused me.
Yeah, well, you don't want to upset the big guy.
I'm trying to upset him. I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah. I don't know if he's...
He took a shot at me right away. He said, good to see everybody again. I said, good to see you. He said, I didn't necessarily mean you.
Gloves were off.
From 1 second into the press conference, the gloves were off.
I hear he did address the liquor and iced tea that was brought up.
I don't think he really had an understanding of what Sam Pittman was trying to say. He was trying to say they're 2 vastly different styles of quarterback.
Yes.
One being liquor, one being iced tea. Like, that's how far apart they are and what they can do. That's all he was trying to say. Two different kinds of parties. Luke Fickell's like, I don't party. I don't have friends. I play football.
I think the funniest quote tweet I saw on that whole situation today was a man in his barn. Just a man in his barn.
Just a man in his barn. That's it. There's a man in his barn and the wrestling mats. Like, that's him, right? Like, that's the perfect epitome of him. Sam Pittman's gonna like crack some jokes and be a little ha-ha. And Luke Fickell's gonna tell you that he doesn't have friends, he doesn't go to parties, he coaches football.
I think it would have been funny if he addressed they make iced tea flavored liquor.
Yeah.
I'll take mine on the rocks.
They have iced tea with booze in it now.
Hard iced tea. I mean, there's so many ways he could have gone. But again, he
went the Luke Fickell way.
Right. He's not the one to make the joke. Gino might have done that. Yeah,
I could see that. Or Gino would have just been like, I'm from Kentucky, I drink bourbon.
we don't do iced tea or liquor. We just go straight for there's one liquor.
There's one liquor. It's bourbon. That's it. That's what we do here in Kentucky. But yeah. All right. Well, we're getting we get BCJ pod tomorrow night. We're inching closer to getting this ball rolling. Like 8 people hit me up today because I mentioned a gambling podcast last night. Like, can I be on the gambling podcast?
January 1st, 2023.
Everybody relax. Oh, my DMs are blowing up with that all day. Like, I'm busy, people. I'm working.
I just need to know. Take the over or the under. Where's the line going to be?
5 o'clock Free Crack Friday. Tyrone Biggums. People are excited about it, but they don't want it. They don't want us to do a gambling podcast. They want to host. I tried to give Brent something else to do, and 6 people tried to steal it from him today.
Well, tell them that he's looking for a sponsor, and clearly, after watching last night with Danco Joe, sponsors get some time. They get some face time. Just saying.
Sponsors get love. Look, let's be honest. If Danco Joe wants to sponsor the Thursday night gambling podcast, guess who's going to be on the show? Danco Joe.
He's going to get some face time.
I'll let him buy himself into a podcast. I don't care. That's a wrap. We'll see you tomorrow night. It's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!